Hello, welcome to TRDR.tv. Today I'm here with Barry Burns from TRDR.tv. How are you doing today, Barry?
Robert, I'm doing very, very well. The markets aren't doing so well today, but I'm
Yeah,
doing well.
the
How are you?
markets are getting killed. I'm doing pretty well also, but yeah, the markets are not doing that well today. I'm getting a little bit personally affected, obviously, with the exchange rates that are climbing up a little bit, the Euro USD. So that's doing some damage to me. But other than that, I'm doing well. Do you should we go ahead and should we get started with the interview, or do you have a couple other things that you'd like to talk about before?
No, let's rock and roll.
All right. So my first question is going to be, what businesses did you own before you began studying the financial markets? Because I read a little bit in your bio that you've had a couple other businesses.
Yeah, well, you did good research on me.
Thank
That's
you.
true. Let's see. Well, my first business had actually none of them had anything to do with trading.
Okay.
I had a landscaping business, so I was a blue collar worker out there working in the hot sun every day, and yeah, working landscaping, and that was tough work. It was good money,
A
but
little
I
bit different
started that.
environment from day trading.
Slightly different. They both involved a lot of green, but very different type of green.
Yeah.
And so I learned what it was to work hard, work with your hands, and you know what real work is. And I decided after, gosh, I had that business for about 5, 6 years, I
Okay.
guess, maybe more altogether. And it was a good business, built it up real nice, and decided, yeah, this is too hard. I got to find something else. And also exchanging time for money, even though I brought on some other people to leverage that. Yeah, just decided to move on. And so then I got involved with well, actually, I started a marketing company just on the side as I was doing my landscaping
Okay.
business. I learned things about marketing because I had to market that business. And I found that I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the creativity of putting together advertising campaigns and flyers and advertisements in newspapers and things like that locally. And so I never had a formal education in marketing, but I just kind of learned and found that I had a knack for it. And so then I just developed a marketing company and we did phone sales, we did magazine ads, newspaper ads. When the internet came around, Al Gore invented the internet, thank goodness. And so that tells you how far back this goes.
Yeah, that's a couple of years ago.
Couple years ago, and so then I saw the opportunity there and started doing some internet marketing and just loved that. That's back in the days when we would post something on Prodigy or AOL, and
This is before
you know,
social media time. This was
oh my gosh,
this is
yeah,
way back
yeah.
when.
That's when it took about an hour and a half for one photograph to load on the internet, right? And you'd be sitting there with your eyes glued to the screen, like, wow, that's really cool.
Look how fast it loads. It's really
I know.
impressive.
Well, we never said that, but we're amazed a picture could actually come up at all. So, yeah, and then, I just loved the technology boom and followed that. And as I did, I got more and more interested in technology. And not
Okay.
that I'm a technology guru by any stretch of the imagination, but I've got people who help me with that end of it. And oh, let's see, what else did I do? I did some network marketing and actually did extremely well in that.
Okay.
And yeah, that's it. I don't want to get too far off topic, but the main line or the bottom line is I learned a lot about business, from the inside and was my own boss, loved being my own boss. I'm pretty much unemployable. Yeah, I'm such an independent person that after all that, I guess the way to bring it back to trading is to say that it was always a lot of work. Whatever I did was always a lot of work, and I was dependent on vendors. And if they let me down, then I was messed up. Or employees, and if they let me down, I was messed up. And so I started thinking, well, what could I do to make money for myself, my family, my loved ones that was more streamlined? And because I found myself and other people that I talked to that here in the United States, at least, business was getting more and more complicated all the time. Labor laws and just all the laws, the taxations, the paperwork we have to fill out, and it's still getting worse. It's still getting more oppressive. And so I've even done seminars where I've asked people who are entrepreneurs and have their own business, how many of you spend more than 50% of your time doing things that do not directly make you money? And hands go up all over the auditorium. And that was my problem. I was getting so frustrated that with my businesses, I had to spend more than 50% of my time doing things that did not directly make me money. So I thought, okay, well, what can I do that's more efficient in earning income? And my dad, he was a stock trader. That was his avocation. It was never his full-time job, but he
Okay.
did very well at it. In fact, he made more money doing that than he did at his full-time job.
Not
And
bad. It's a good mentor then.
fantastic, and we can get into that. But I'd gotten away from trading. He had gotten me into it, and I got away from it, pursuing these other businesses. So I decided, trading, that's it. I've known about this my whole life. So I went back to my dad, flew back out to Detroit, Michigan, where I was born and raised, and where he still lived. And I said, Dad, I need you to re-mentor me. So I moved back in with him for a while, and did some re-mentoring with him, and decided that that's what I wanted to pursue, because I didn't have to have any employees, no payroll, taxes were pretty darn simple,
There's not very much
and
bureaucracy and red tape, so you got that crossed off, and it sounds like you already had a pretty good background from owning your own companies. And I mean, it seems like obviously with your father being relatively successful in it, it was a good choice. And it seems, based upon your website and the chats we've had, it seems like you're doing pretty well for yourself. So congratulations.
yes, thank you. Thank you. So yes, so it's just a very efficient way of making income. It's risky. There's always risks
Of course.
involved in the market. I want to make that disclaimer, because that's very, very important. And even for professional traders, even for people like myself, it's always risk involved. And so one of the key things is to have a very clear risk management system and money management system in place that you adhere to with strict discipline. And the other thing that scares people away sometimes is it's all on me.
Yeah.
There's no one else to blame if you don't make money. But that never bothered me. In fact, I welcomed that, because, well, I'm willing to take that responsibility. And in fact, I cherish that responsibility. And so, yeah, I just have confidence. I've always been a very disciplined person, that if I set my mind to something, I will do it. I will accomplish it. And I always have. I've always been very successful at everything I've done.
Wow. Well, that's impressive, and it's not many people can say that, especially people that have spent their time in the trader world. A lot of people during their first couple weeks, couple months fail horribly. I mean, the amount of stories that I've heard interviewing people where it seems to be kind of almost like a test of entrance. You have to be very stubborn, and you have to be willing to kind of give it a couple more shots even after you fail the first couple times, in order to be like that bullheaded, to kind of just push through it. But I mean, it sounds like you are a little bit on the different side, because obviously you had your father who helped you out and kind of gave you a little bit of training, and you obviously also had the discipline from having your own companies. So it's anyway, it's cool to hear that that you didn't really go through that test or that trial that a lot of other people do and never succeed from, or never recover from.
Well, okay, that's a good distinction. Let's talk about that for a minute, because that's a very, very important point you brought up. So when I say I was always successful at everything I accomplished, I should say I was eventually
Okay.
successful
Okay.
at everything I accomplished. That doesn't mean from day one I was, but it means that I had the tenacity to stick through the tough times and go through my learning curve, and, as one of my friends would say, fail forward. So whenever I wasn't successful initially, I would just take that as a learning experience and say, okay, what can I learn from this? Let's make an adjustment, and then move forward and try again. And okay, maybe fail again, and then make an adjustment, learn from it, and try again. And so just constantly making that, going through that process, eventually becoming successful. But no, I won't say that I was successful, from day one. It's just that I had the tenacity to never give up and eventually become successful.
I appreciate that clarification. You make me personally feel a lot better in my trading experience, so I appreciate it. So then I also read in your bio that you also had a couple other mentors. I believe there was 3 of them, and then one of them who even worked at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. And so I was just wondering if you could share maybe just one piece of information that you learned from all of your mentors, and something that would obviously just take a couple minutes to explain, and something that you could, hopefully enlighten us with. That's what I was hoping for.
Sure. Well, yeah, in my bio and some of the stories I tell, I'm condensing, long stories and
Of
years of
course,
experience into short little bite-sized nuggets for consumption. So
of
there's a lot
course.
more to it, than
I can imagine in a
is
couple paragraphs for your life. Yeah, I
exactly,
could think so.
exactly. Yes. But yeah, so I actually did two stints out in Chicago. The first one was through a brokerage firm that I was working with at the time, and well, they were my broker, and I was talking to the owner of the brokerage firm, and he said, yeah, we got this guy. They had a trading floor in the CME building, Chicago Mercantile Exchange building,
Okay.
and so he was telling me about a hotshot trader and a group of guys there that were doing really good and killing it. So I got a truckload of money, backed it up, dumped it in his lap, and he was offering, a little mentorship there. And he was the head trainer of their traders.
Okay.
So I don't think it was an ongoing thing. I'm not sure how I got in on that deal. I guess it was just through knowing that the owner of the company. So anyway, I got a little apartment there and stayed there for a little while. At that time, with that particular individual, what he was doing was he was trading only the NASDAQ futures, and they were doing a kind of a at that time, not so much anymore, but at that time it was considered a kind of sophisticated technology to monitor the individual stocks of the NASDAQ 100 and
Okay.
compare that with the futures. And so that was a little more on the technology end. And then I went back another time with a couple of other guys, and then I got to go actually down on the floor
Okay.
and meet not only them, but then and I traded live there with those guys in the building, but off the floor.
That
But
must be
then I
fun.
got to go. Oh yeah, it was fun. Then I got to go on the floor and meet
Mm.
a lot of their friends and stuff. And I'll tell you where a lot of the learning really occurred, which might be counterintuitive, is that we'd go out with them and their friends afterwards out to the restaurants and then the bars. And it was about after the third or fourth drink that I learned the most about trading.
That's when the truth comes out, you know? It's,
Yes,
all of
yes.
the walls come down and the truth starts to spill out.
Yeah. And what was interesting, I would say my biggest takeaway from that experience was I was already doing pretty well trading, and I was actually really proud of myself. In fact, I was kind of full of myself, I guess. But like you said, very few people succeed at trading, so I thought I was pretty hot stuff. But I was looking to improve. And my trading methodology at that time was pretty complicated, and again, I felt like I'm a big deal because I figured out this complicated system. When I went there and I was on the floor, and I saw what those guys were doing, and I'd look down at their P&L, and it might be like five figures for that day. I was like, I guess I'm not that, not as great as I thought I was. And then I looked at what they were doing, and just brain dead simple, really simple stuff, as opposed to the other mentor I had had, which was, all based on technology and so forth.
Okay.
And I just came away and I even asked them, I said, how can you make money when you're just looking at such simple things? And what it really came down to was, again, risk management and money management. And these guys were just so disciplined that, I mean, their discipline was impeccable. And so they had a little edge with what they were doing, and they just exploited that edge over and over and over and over, and had, again, impeccable discipline in doing that. And that was really the big secret. And the other one I would say too, that I've learned, you talked about all my mentors, if I had to say there was any one lesson that all my mentors shared with me that they all had in common, was patience.
Okay.
One of my biggest challenges was over trading, and I think a lot of traders have that. We tend to think that the markets are going to give us more money making opportunities than they really do. We do have to look for an edge. We do have to look for something that's going to give us a high probability. And the markets don't do that very often. They do it a lot less often than most traders think they do.
Okay.
And so a lot of times, trading can be very boring because you're waiting. The market can be a random walk down Wall Street, that whole thing,
Yeah.
and can be very efficient. And we have to wait for those little inefficiencies. We have to wait for those times when the market tips its hand a little bit. And it's really not interested in doing that. It's not interested in helping you. It's not interested in helping me. In fact, if we can get into it a little bit if you want to, but the markets are actually antagonistic toward you and toward me. They're trying to take our money. And so, therefore, one of the most important things is to be very patient, wait for your opportunities, stay alert. I liken it to being like a lion in Africa and just waiting and waiting and waiting for, that whatever antelope or whatever the animal might be. I'm not very up to date on, my animals and all that stuff, but
No, but
um,
it's a good analogy. It's definitely something
it,
that I can appreciate. So
yeah, and it's a common one that's used, but you wait for, I mean, they'll just sit. If you watch their face, it's really interesting. They're so focused, they never lose attention. They're just locked in, looking at the animal that they want to attack. And then they wait for the one that strays from the herd and that has a limp.
so those are
And
the stocks that you go for, the limping stocks.
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
I understand now. I was going to ask you what kind of assets, you typically tend to trade, but I understand now. The limping ones that have strayed from the pack, So those are your financial assets of preference.
Yeah, yeah. I day trade futures. I love day trading futures. I love the leverage.
Okay.
Again, it's a double-edged sword. You've got to be very careful of the risk. That for some reason it's never bothered me. Shorting has never bothered me. For some people it does.
Mm.
But so I day trade futures primarily, and then overnight I'll trade options on stocks.
Okay. Would you say that's because it fits mostly with your kind of personal preference of trading, or is it that's because you said I think your father used to trade a lot of futures as well. So do you think that's part of the reason why you prefer to trade futures, or is it just work out really well for you? It's kind of what fits your trading style.
Well, my dad primarily traded stocks, and that's what he
Oh,
was comfortable with. He was a accountant and an internal auditor, so he knew finances and he knew companies, and he was more into fundamentals.
okay.
He would do some technical analysis, but it was basically 50 MA, 200 MA, some price patterns and volume,
Yeah.
very, very basic stuff. And he would actually, I wish I had my examples with me, but my dad, being an accountant, he was extremely frugal. And so when he took notes, he wouldn't even use a blank sheet of paper. He'd be like, why go buy paper? That's a waste of time. So he would take last year's calendar. He had one of those calendars where there's a different sheet for each day of the week.
Yeah.
So 365 little sheets of paper for the year. And he would save last year's calendar, then use that for his note taking for the next year because he didn't want to buy, a clean sheet of paper.
Oh, it's totally understandable.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so I still have these from him. He's passed away, God bless his soul, but I've kept this as kind of a memento. And he would just write down, he had two columns, and he'd write down price and then volume. And then the next day, price and volume. Then the next day, price and volume. And I've never, it's kind of a tape reading sort of technique that he used. Just writing it down with a little, pencil on this old calendar. And yeah, so he kind of showed me what he did with that, and but I don't trade like my dad did. I'm much more into
Okay.
technical analysis and chart reading. So and I use the computers and everything, which I actually taught him to do later on, and he thought it was amazing but overwhelming. And so we diverged a bit later on in life as to our approaches. But yeah, for me, I trade futures primarily because I love the leverage and I can make more
Okay.
money faster.
Okay.
Again, just as a clear disclaimer, you can lose money faster as well. And the same with options. They're leveraged, and but you can also be creative with them and manage your risk and so forth. And so I don't like to hold futures personally overnight because of the overnight exposure
Okay.
mixed with the risk. So with options, that's why I use options. I can get the leverage, but I can still manage my risk very well.
Okay, so mostly intraday futures trading, and then a couple maybe like option swing plays or something like that.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, excellent. And then the next question I wanted to ask you is, how have you incorporated most of this information into your book, which I believe is called Trend Trading for Dummies? So would you say that, first of all, is this book almost like an introduction to the courses that you treat on or that you teach on topdogtrading.com, or would you say that this kind of goes along with the beginner courses that you offer, something that should be read kind of at the same time, or an introduction?
Well, The book is much more than an introduction. I mean,
Okay.
it is an introduction for sure, but I do include a lot of detailed information in there, and people could definitely get the book and understand most of my methodology using the book. So there's a lot of great stuff in the book, if I must say so myself.
I believe you.
But no, it's much more than just for beginners. So if
Okay.
you're a beginner, you can definitely start there. But then as you progress through the book, you'll get a lot of intermediate information as well. And then my online courses, of course, the advantage of them is they incorporate video.
Of course.
And so the advantage of that is I can show people, and I do show people in my courses, how I'm trading using the video, so I can speak and demonstrate and show moving charts. And I even do live trading on the video so people can see how things evolve on the hard right edge of the screen, bar by bar, as opposed to just seeing a static historic chart.
Yeah. Okay. Understandable. So yeah, I guess the reason I asked that is obviously just because it's trend trading for dummies, and I never really assumed that people who are anything more than beginners are dummies, you know. So it's just in the title, which is why I had to ask.
Well, good question. I've had other people ask that same question. Not my title, you know, Wiley Publishing has a whole series of dummies books.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, and so, you know, they came to me. That's, you know, actually an interesting thing. Most authors spend, you know, years trying to find a publisher to publish their book. And with me, just the opposite happened. They actually contacted me. I was
All
not
right.
even looking to write a book. They just called me out of the blue and said, "Hi, would you like to write a book for us?" I said, "Okay."
Wow.
So a lot of authors out there are hating me right now.
Yeah, let's hope not too many of them are watching this live right now, or else, you know, we're
Yeah,
gonna get a
yeah.
couple thumbs down, you know, so a couple unlikes.
But they required me to write a couple of chapters, you know, before they gave the final approval. They just wanted to make sure I could write and that I could communicate well. So I did that and I submitted them, and evidently they liked it because then they went ahead with the entire project.
Oh, well, congratulations. You know, I'm glad to hear that you didn't even have to apply or do anything actually writing for the publisher. So that's cool to hear. Let's go ahead and let's move on a little bit to. I saw also in your bio that you used to work a little bit for Worldwide Traders and Day Traders USA. Can you explain a little bit about what you used to do there?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was, first of all, those are very similar. So it started out as Day Traders USA,
Okay.
and that was a trading club in Orange County, California,
Okay.
near Irvine, where you used to live, I understand.
Yeah, I've heard of it before. You know.
And right, so Orange, what was it called? Orange Coast College. Does that ring any bells?
I went to Irvine Valley, but
Irvine Valley.
yeah,
Okay.
it does.
Anyway, yes. So it started out as Day Traders USA. That's when day trading was super popular. And then they later changed the name to Worldwide Traders, and now they're more of an online presence, and they talk much more about all different types of trading, not
Okay.
just day trading. But Richard Rube is still, I believe, the owner of that, and a good friend of mine. And he used to live there. I lived in Laguna Beach, and eventually he moved to Las Vegas. So we don't stay in touch as much as we
Okay.
used to. But every once in a while, he'll come out here, and I'll have lunch with them. Anyway, so that was a very, very large trading club. We met in a big auditorium every other Saturday, and just a tremendous experience. And Richard would bring in major speakers every other week. And so that was part of my education process way back in the days of yore.
Okay.
And so I learned a lot of different approaches, and it was great for two reasons. Number one, to have exposure to all of these great traders and all the different types of approaches to trading, and to see there's many different ways to, well, would be nice to groom a cat. And then also all the other people who were there who were attending. I got to, you know, it's a nice community of people to share ideas with and so forth. So anyway, what happened was I got a mentor there, Ray Grant, who was
Uh-oh. It looks like we lost Barry for a second, or like a connection has been lost for a moment. So let's just see if we can reload this one back up, or if it just takes a couple minutes. Uh-oh.
Uh, when I trade, I have two computers, I've got 7 monitors, and two internet connections. So I always have two different types of internet connections, DSL and cable, or two different types. So if one goes down, you've still got internet access with the other, and also have your broker's phone number on your cell phone on speed dial, all that kind of stuff. And so redundancy is the name of the game when it comes to trading, and great little learning moment there for us all. So
Contingency
anyway,
planning, definitely something you learned, I think, from your previous businesses. It's something that definitely helped you out. So I appreciate that you
e-
came back with us and that you shared that little tip with us, because I'm sure a lot of traders these days don't think about those kind of things.
very important. Believe me, it's happened to me. I've been trading for 49 years, and it's happened to me. It doesn't happen a lot, but it doesn't happen to happen. It doesn't have to happen a lot in order for it to really hurt you financially.
Yeah,
So
it just has to happen
important.
one or two times at the exact wrong moment,
It,
and you're in a lot of
exactly.
trouble.
Exactly. Well said.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's move on to a little bit of an interesting question that again, something that I read on your bio. So I understand that you have a doctorate in hypnotherapy, and you did this with the intent of improving your psychology of trading. Can you explain to us a little bit about the connection between the two?
Oh, sure. Um, so yeah, I do have a doctorate in hypnotherapy, neurolinguistic programming. Also did some studying dream therapy on the side, just because I
Okay.
thought it was interesting. But yeah, I've always been very interested in the subconscious mind. So I also have a master's degree that allows me to do counseling and so forth. So, and I did that for a while. I actually had a practice in Costa Mesa, California.
Okay.
So that was another business that I had, by the way. Forgot to mention that one. But as far as trading goes, yes, great question.
Thank you.
Hypnotherapy can be very helpful for traders, certainly, but I'll say a few things about that. Number one, hypnotherapy to some people is kind of scary. It doesn't need to be, because all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So you can do it yourself if you want to. If you decide to bring on someone else to help you, a professional, just understand that they are not controlling you, they are guiding you. They're guiding you through the process of self-hypnosis is what they're actually doing.
Okay.
So that's number one. You're always in control. You always know what's going on. You never go to sleep, and you're never, programmed by somebody and not know what they're saying. So that's number one. Number two is that it's great for working on issues where you're kind of wondering, why do I keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over? I
Okay.
have a lot of traders who've told me that. They say, I know what I'm doing wrong, but I can't stop myself. Well, that's a case where hypnosis may be able to help you. But where hypnosis does not help you is you cannot just receive a suggestion saying, you're a great trader, you're an amazing trader, you make lots of money. That's not going to help.
So it's not going to help if I take a recording of that and just play it over and over again while I'm sleeping. I'm not going to become a great trader like Barry Burns right off in the next couple of
No,
days.
no,
All
it
right.
might do more harm than good, because it'll give you a false confidence. And then God help you.
In a volatile market like the last couple of weeks, yeah, it probably will hurt me a little bit more than anything,
Yeah,
to
right.
have that confidence in myself.
Right. So there's a controversy, among some people whether the psychology of trading or the techniques of trading are more important. Some people say the psychological issues of trading are the most important thing. I 100% respectfully disagree with them. Others say it's a chicken and egg thing. Again, I respectfully 100% disagree with those people as well. In my mind, the most important thing is definitely your trading methodology. Because if you don't have a trading methodology that has a positive expectancy, no amount of hypnotherapy or discipline, which really all the psychological issues, when you boil them all down, fear, greed, hesitancy, all that stuff, it all comes down to discipline. It all
I
comes down to
agree.
keeping your rules. So the point is, you have to have rules that actually work first. And if that's not in place, psychological issues don't matter, because you could keep the rules perfectly, but if the rules they lose money over time, then you're going to be perfect at losing money consistently. So the techniques of trading, the methodology, as I like to say, that has to have a positive expectancy over a large sample of data. And once that's proven, if you're not able to keep those rules, then step two, then we bring in techniques such as hypnotherapy or whatever's needed to help you with the psychology of trading.
Okay. That's very interesting. I've never heard of that approach for tackling the discipline problem or the psychological problem before. It's really interesting, and no, I appreciate you explaining that to us. So thank you very much. Let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about Top Dog Trading, just a little bit today. I mean, I saw that first of all you have a couple podcasts up there which are available for free. Things on trend trading, things on making money, how day traders make money running stops, which I believe is talking about making like the limit orders and stuff like that, and how you can actually see other people's stop losses and along those kind of things. Very interesting stuff. Along with that, top 20 day trading rules for success. And then you just have a lot of free material as well on your YouTube channel. So for those of our viewers who are just looking to get into trading, or looking to kind of just get a basic education before they really want to decide if they want to start paying for the education, I highly recommend checking out Top Dog Trading's YouTube channel. They have a lot of information up there. Day trading tips, stock market trading for beginners, 3 different parts, 1, 2, and 3. Forex trading strategies, E-mini trading strategies, trend trading, swing trading, and Fibonacci levels. So there's a lot of free material up on the Top Dog Trading YouTube channel, as well as on TopDogTrading.com, and they have some links between the two, I do believe. You have really a lot of material, and so I'm very impressed. You know, it's something I think that you said that you've been accumulating for over 45 years, and so it's in addition to that, you also have some of the knowledge that your father and your other mentors have passed on. So this is really quite an accumulation of material, and I highly recommend to a lot of our viewers to go check it out. Is there anything else that you wanted to tell us about Top Dog Trading before we kind of head off for the day?
No, I'd just like to support what you've said. By the way, thank you very much for
No, you're
sharing
welcome.
all of that. I appreciate that. But I would say, yeah, probably my YouTube channel would be a great place for people to go and just watch all the free videos. I do give away a lot of free education. I love to do that. I'm here to help traders, and so that's a good place to start. Or my blog, topdogtrading.com, is my main website, and it's a blog. And you can go there and read some articles. And then also, I do give away a free course. So if you just go to topdogtrading.com, on the right-hand column, there'll be a yellow area there where you can sign up for my free trading course. And so my way of teaching is, if people want to really get deep into my methodology, they're welcome to, but I don't sell, I educate. And so people can go through my free education first and then determine for themselves, hey, this guy's style fits me, you know, or this makes sense to me. I'm resonating with this style of teaching. And if you do, and you want to get my courses, that's great. If you don't, that's great too. I just provide the education and let people make their own decisions. But yeah, we've got the podcast, which we'll be revamping. There's only about 5 of them up right now. There's over 60 videos on YouTube, so we've been pretty prolific there. The blog's been going on for years and years and years, so there's tons of great articles there. And then I do some webinars, some free webinars also. But if people sign up for the free trading course, then they get on my mailing list, and all of my webinars will be made available to them as well.
All right. Well, yes, like we talked about, he also offers a couple of different trading courses for beginners and intermediate levels. So I recommend checking those out after you've kind of gone through some of the YouTube videos, like you said. Check out topdogtrading.com. And I think that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you very much, Barry. I really appreciate you talking to us today and coming back after we had the little connection problem. So I really appreciate it today.
Well, thank you, Robert. And let me give you a shout out as well. You're doing a great job. I went on YouTube and I watched some of the other interviews that you've done and some of the other videos you've done. And you're doing a great job. I think you're doing a great service to the trading community by bringing on traders, interviewing them like this, and making it available for free for everybody. So thank you for the service you're doing for the trading community.
I really appreciate it. I hope that over the next couple weeks maybe we can see a little bit of your content up on Trader TV, or at least an account, so people can link the Trader TV to your YouTube, so that some of our viewers who are checking that out can have easier access to your YouTube channel. But thank you very much, like I said, again, for coming today. Thank you for the shout out to me. I appreciate it. I've been working hard. So anyway, thank you very much. Have a good day. And I'll talk to you later, Barry.
Okay, thanks, Robert.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today on Trader TV. That was Barry Burns of TopDogTrading.com. Thank you very much, and I wish you the best of luck in your future trades. Have a nice day.